So we've been talking about energy this entire semester and how our body loves energy in the form of ATP. But of course, to ultimately get that energy, you have to eat something. So today we're going to study on how all of the systems of your body get the energy they need to work, and it really comes from the food you eat. And remember, you can eat a variety of food, right? It doesn't matter if you eat carbs, proteins, or fat. Any of those have the option of extracting energy from it through cell respiration. So we're going to discuss today how you eat carbs, fats, and lipids, and ultimately how our body can absorb those. So we're going to be talking about our whole digestive tract, and specifically how do we break down the food we eat and absorb it into our body. All right. So our big overall question of today is, how do you control your digestive system? So it's going to start off with, we'll just review really quickly the digestive system and your GI tract. GI stands for gastrointestinal. Then we'll go on to regulation, right? How do you know if you're full? How do you know if you want to eat more? How do you make sure these digestive organs are working well? After we go through that, we'll have a review of how and where do you digest and absorb carbs, lipids, and proteins. So the idea is they're all in your food, you eat them, and then we're going to follow each one through your digestive tract and figure out how you break it down and ultimately absorb. So digestion and absorption of all the food. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just give you guys a brief overview of the digestive system, and then you guys are actually going to spend probably about 20 to 30 minutes working in your groups, kind of figuring out exactly what each organ does. So let me give you an overall view first. All right, so you got the food on your plate. What's the first step?
Chew.
Put it in your mouth and chew, right? Okay, so as the food goes through your digestive system, the first thing we talk about is motility. Chewing is part of moving the food, right? Okay, so you chew the food, then what happens?
Swallow.
You swallow, right? And as you swallow, the food's gonna start to move through your entire tract. So you want to make sure that the food is constantly moving, right? You never really want the food to get stuck anywhere, right? You move it through your whole tract, and then you absorb what you need, and then you're going to get rid of what you don't. But so motility is going to be key, and every organ has to participate in motility, right? If you have any part of your digestive tract that stops moving, the food is going to get stuck. So move the food through your tract. All right? Now, of course, part of the movement, like chewing, what's the goal of chewing? What are you doing to the food?
Breaking it down.
Yeah, you're breaking it down into smaller pieces. So that's the idea of digestion. Digestion is making sure the food is broken down into smaller pieces. So whether that's mechanically chewing, or for example, using enzymes to break apart bonds, digestion is you're getting the food into smaller pieces. Why do you need to get the food into smaller pieces?
To be able to swallow it.
So you can swallow it, good. Yeah, you don't want to swallow a huge chunk of food. Yep, and then once you swallow, you're still breaking the food down. Why are you still breaking the food down even smaller and smaller?
Easier to absorb.
To absorb it, right? You can't absorb into your body big chunks of food. So again, digestion, you're breaking it into small pieces, ultimately, so you can do absorption. And so you want to be able to absorb the smaller pieces and the nutrients into your body. All right, but do you absorb all of the food you eat?
No.
No. What happens to the food that you don't absorb? Yeah, you eliminate it, right? That's your waste, that's defecation, right? Or your feces. So the last step would be make sure you eliminate the food that you don't absorb. Right? So put the food in your mouth, move it through your whole tract, digest it, break it down into smaller pieces so you can absorb your nutrients, and then ultimately eliminate your waste. Okay. So to do that, we have all of our organs of our digestive system. So we're going to focus first on the GI tract. So GI stands for gastrointestinal. Does anyone know what gastro stands for? Stomach. Yeah, if you hear the word gastro, it refers to stomach. And then, of course, intestinal? Intestines, yeah. So that's where you get the name gastrointestinal tract. It's stomach, intestine. Another common name for your GI tract is just called alimentary canal. and the reason why it's called a canal is if you were to actually take your mouth all the way to your anus, it's just connected as one long canal. And if you were to actually just extend it or expand it, it's about 28 feet. So roughly about 8 meters long. So again, they're all connected. So that's why they say the elementary. All right, so you guys might remember from anatomy, it starts with your mouth, right? Then your pharynx is your throat, so that's where you swallow. Your esophagus is about a foot-long tube that connects your throat to your stomach. After you pass the food through your stomach, it goes through the small intestine, then finally the large intestine, and then at the very end of the large intestine is the anus where you eliminate the food. So the anus is still a part of your large intestine. Okay, so food is going to move through all of these. On the other side, I've listed the accessory organs. So accessory digestive organs help you with digestion, but they lay off to the side of the GI tract. So in other words, your food is never going to directly enter these accessory organs. So the three main accessory organs are your salivary glands. So you have, for example, salivary glands like up here, almost by your ear. You have some salivary glands underneath your mouth, right? Back off to the side. So again, your food never goes up into your salivary gland. But of course, saliva is going to help digest food. You guys remember how saliva helps?
Break down
Amylase.
enzymes.
Yep, there are enzymes in there, and they
Amylase.
break down. Do you guys remember what it breaks down?
Sugar, glucose.
Sugars are carbohydrates. Yeah. So again, helping digest our food, but the food doesn't directly go into them. Same thing with liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Right? So your food never goes up into your liver or up into your gallbladder or up into your pancreas. But we'll realize today that all three of these will release substances and enzymes that help digest your food. So again, they help. Okay, any questions about just the overall picture?
So all four of those are releasing enzymes.
Yeah, all
Okay.
four of these are helping to release enzymes to digest the food, but again, they're not directly in line of our canal.
The same type of enzymes?
What?
They all release the same type of enzymes?
No, yeah, good question. Do they all release the same type of enzymes? Absolutely not. And today, when you guys go through your activity, you're going to figure out what organ releases what enzyme. Yeah. All right, good. Other questions? All right. So what I have for you guys today is partly review, so making sure you review your anatomy, but also you guys are going to investigate each organ and figure out precisely what it does. So what I have is a little review table for you guys, and this will help you organize your whole digestive system really well, so it'll be a good study tool also. Okay, so what we're going to do is, let me show it to you guys and I'll hand it out. Is you guys get into your groups, and this is why if you have a textbook, that would be great, or if you have access to a textbook, or if you just have your slides, that'll be useful too. Okay, so here's what we're going to do for about the next 20 to 30 minutes. You're going to use this table, and you're going to basically fill out first, over here, the organs of the GI tract. Alright, so we start off with our mouth. What's our next one going to be?
Pharynx.
Pharynx, yep, and then after we swallow, esophagus, then that goes to the stomach, and then which intestine?
Small intestine.
And then finally,
Large intestine.
right? Okay, so we're just going to list the organs here. You're going to briefly list the function of that organ. Again, textbook or slides will help you do that. Over here, notice you have three categories of food: carbs, fats, and protein. What we're going to do in each one of these columns is figure out, first of all, one, does this organ produce an enzyme to help digest it? And if it does, we're going to list what that enzyme is. For example, in the mouth, you have saliva. And you might remember in that saliva is an enzyme called salivary amylase. Right? Remember our second lab we did where you guys had to spit in the tube? Right? Okay, so that enzyme salivary amylase, you guys just mentioned, helps us break down sugars or carbohydrates. Right? So notice right here I have listed salivary amylase under carbohydrates. Does salivary amylase also break down fat?
No.
No, right? Remember, enzymes are very specific. Does salivary amylase also help us break down protein?
No.
No, again, it's just for carbohydrates. Are there any other enzymes in your mouth that you know of? No. There are no other enzymes in your mouth that help you digest food. So notice I just put an X under fats and proteins. The X means no, there's no enzyme. You don't chemically digest lipids or fats or proteins in your mouth. Right? So you guys are just going to basically go through each of the organs and figure out again function, what enzymes do I have, and then what category of food it breaks down. Alright, so again, you should be able to grab that from the slides, and then if you need extra help, the textbook is good. Down here, don't forget, we have our accessory digestive organs. So the three I want you guys to focus on are the liver, the gallbladder, and pancreas. So don't worry about the salivary glands because we've already kind of covered that up with the mouth. Alright? And so again, main functions, and then what enzymes do they release and what do they help us break down. Alright? Okay. Clear on what we need to do here? Alright, so I'm going to hand this out to you guys. I'm also going to hand out another sheet that shows you a picture of the whole digestive system. So as you write down your organs, just review and make sure you can identify where it is on the diagram. And then we'll work on this together, which is how do we regulate digestion. Perfect. Are you going to turn around and work with them, you think?
I was just gonna say, I'm not sure. I
Thank
don't
you.
think I did. But if you, do you have it on your phone?
Yeah.
We can use AirDrop.